Hey guys, this is Krantz with DeucesCrack.com and welcome to episode 1 of LimeSlicer, series in which my roommate White Lime and I go head to head in a variety of challenges in which the loser will be forced to do some sort of crazy task or participate in some sort of awful punishment, and the loser of this episode will be pied in the face a bunch of times. So what is the task, you guys ask? We're each playing right now on consecutive tables. Well, he's playing on another 2 tables. I'm playing on 2 tables. 200 hands of 5-10. And the victor is simply the one who wins the most amount of money. So while it's not a big sample size, it's going to be interesting, and I really don't want to get pied in the face. So hopefully I picked some good tables. Haven't played 5-10, well, regularly, at least, in a while. I used to play it a lot in January and February, March, on Full Tilt. So I do know that this guy, Jedi Poker Tricks, on both of the tables, he was playing 5-10 and 10-20 back when I was, still playing. So I assume that he's just still there, just a solid grinder. I know he's came from like a law background, I think. So I have some respect for him, and he's definitely capable of making some moves. iRock Hose is also a very good player, so maybe I didn't pick such great tables. Got stats on Silent Assassin 3. Looks like 2015, just standard tag. And I don't know any time. Interesting. I get 3-bet immediately. King Queen's pretty good from the cutoff, and I can actually make an assumption that this guy is definitely 3-betting light because I'm in the cutoff and he's in the small blind. But I can't even say specifically. Specifically with the way today's games are going, there's just so much light 3-betting. But it's not bad to take a flopping position here. I'm just going to fold just because I don't know anything about him. I definitely defend there more than I fold, though. But for the sake of this session, I don't want to start out getting really spewy, especially since we're only playing 200 hands. I've actually got White Lime's tables up. He's been playing a bit. I only have 15 hands, but he's been playing for a bit already. It looks like he's up about $400. So, I may end up getting sort of spewy if it looks like he's up a bunch of stacks and I need some ground to recover. At that point, it's less about the money, more about pride, more about winning this challenge. But anyway, up until then, we're going to play some good poker. Use position to my advantage. Try and beat up on some of the weaker players if there are any. I hope I pick some. I hope I Like Your Mom Is Bad or Purple Haze. And we're going to test anytime 2-3-2-3 right now with 5-6 suited, especially here in squeeze position. I can call here. It's not bad closing the action, but I'm just going to try and cultivate an aggressive image and pot it right away. I think a lot of people know me from that's fine. So we take it down right there. A lot of people know me from obviously my nosebleed stake success over the summer and back in the spring. So I think. And I've played 5-10 when just extremely tilted coming off a nosebleed session or sort of acting as like a Robin Hood. I win 40K off David Benjamin and I donate 5 stacks back by playing like a maniac. So I think that my image, I'm going to be able to use my image to my advantage. I'm not going to pull too many big bluffs unless I have good reason, because I just really don't think people are going to believe me. And because of that, I think I'm going to be able to, hopefully within this hour-ish session, I'm going to be able to pull off some overbet value bets, which are sort of my favorite thing to do, because everyone always thinks you're bluffing, and a lot of people just overbet bluffs or the nuts, but I like to overbet in between when I know they have a bluff catcher or I know my hand's likely good, because people love to call. That's sort of the theme. Passivity. People just love to call, more so than bet themselves. So that's something that we'll try to take advantage of. Here's a decent squeeze spot, but I just squeeze a pot with Jedi Poker Tricks at the other table, so I'm just going to give that up. Play a little tight there. I'm tempted to open ace-8 under the gun, but we're going to play tight, and we're going to play solid. So that is the trick of things. Hopefully this table, somebody else bad sits so I can start running up some big stacks and get out ahead. I really do not want to be pied in the face. Gas hole 11. That looks like a bad player. I have no idea why I said that really, but I would never name myself Gas hole 11, so I just assume anyone who would is not going to be too great. And that's an assumption that I'm not going to put too much weight in, but my mental perception is sort of hinging on that right now, I guess. I really hope Jedi Poker Tricks doesn't squeeze here because I like playing this hand. I'm just going to call, closing the action. Well, that's literally a perfect flop. I'm going to lead out $75. Checking isn't bad because I figure Silent Assassin will bet a lot, but it could put me in an awkward situation. For instance, if any time raises or if he calls, there's really no way you can play that hand poorly. But I like leading out. It disguises your hand strength and sort of makes it hard for somebody like Silent Assassin or any time to play pot control. For instance, if he raises under the gun with ace jack, he's not necessarily always going to bet that, especially lately. I think with the way c betting's been going in these games, at least I've been playing a bit, and I think that a lot of people have been watching sort of a lot of videos and doing a lot of thinking about c betting percentages, and they're checking back a lot with middle pair. And I'm gonna 3-bet this just to cultivate an aggressive image. They're checking back a lot, and that's something that you want to keep in mind because it's going to be harder to get money in if people are playing pot control rather than just betting for the sake of continuation betting. I think there was a hand that just happened on the modder that I need to check out. I'm just going to c-bet that with a gut shot. Oh, wow. This guy, I'm just going to put him in. He has $155, stupid short stack. Let's find that hand. Okay. So Jedi Poker bets 60 and Riverman floats the flop, and then he min-raises a turn when he gets there and makes a small bet on the river, on the ace on the river. So Riverman 34 is automatically just like terrible. So I'm going to put my red fish note on him. Min-raise with big hand, make small v-bet with big hand. Here's an interesting spot. I'm just going to overbet all in again, simply because I did before, and I do expect to get called by worse in this case, just because it looks this guy, thinks that I don't like him, and I'm just overbetting for the hell of it. Raise this under the gun. At a tough table, I would fold that, just because I'm going to be getting. I'm going to be taken advantage against tough players when I'm playing the hands like that out of position. I mean, it does disguise your hand strength, but it's just so hard to play pots out of position when you don't have the nuts against people who know you're raising a wide range under the gun and who know how to use position against you effectively. You just really have to. You're going to be getting in some high variance spots, and it's just not really worth it for the most part when you're playing with good players who really aren't going to tilt or anything like that. When you're playing with bad players, I mean, I feel like my positional disadvantage is sort of offset by how well I know how to play out of position and how well I can hand read. So if I know, tendencies of my opponent, if I know how to put them on a range of hands, and I know how to weight it, and I know that they're likely to fold more often than not, I'll bluff, and I'll know when to hold my bet, hold my bluff when I know they're prone to call. So that is just a consideration that's kind of thrown out the window when you're playing at a table full of good players. Looks like Emil is up 700 on one table. I haven't really been paying too much attention. Let's see what Poker Tracker says. He's up about, oh man. So he's up about 450 on the 38 hands that I've seen so far. And he has been playing a little bit before, so it looks like he's up a little more than that, unless he lost a pot on the other table. Interesting. I get through by the button. I'm just not going to get involved. Here's a spot where I might make a small 4-bet now and then, but for now, I'm just going to sort of give this guy the pot and just rely on what I said earlier about my image paying off for me. They see printing rate at the table and they think that, oh my god, I'm so psycho, and I think that I can just play sort of face up pre-flop, at least not get too involved in these big pre-flop wars, and that'll play to my advantage. I'll be able to just take. Hopefully, I get dealt some big hands within these 200 hands. I'll be able to take that, those kind of hands and take it to showdown and win some big pots against guys who just don't believe me. I was playing earlier today, 5-10, just to get a little bit of a feel for what was going on, and I hadn't even been 3-betting this guy really. I forgot who it was, but I 3-bet him with Ace Queen, and he 4-bet, and I just had a very I trust my gut probably more than almost any other player, and I had a really good gut feeling, even though I hadn't been 3-betting. This guy just thought that I was crazy, probably because of some of the plays that he had made in normal raise pots against me, but I got the feeling that he thought I was getting a little out of line, and he 4-bet me, and I just instantly shoved, and he tanked and called with Jack Queen suited. So this guy is just shoving. I hope I can get a hand. Jacks, nice of him to show. So I think my hypotenuse holds correct, right? Gasshole 11 is an idiot. I'm sorry, Gasshole, if you end up watching this video. I love you, and we can still be friends. Well, only if you change your name. I'm just going to fold here. I don't know much about Namco, but I'm just going to assume he's tagged until told otherwise and re-raise Ace Queen when it gets back to me. Here's a spot against some players. I'll call this guy's my hand strength, or I'll call because they're a little bit tight. It's really tight players. If I had some stats, I might even fold this because you're out of position. But now, especially with that fish calling, I'm definitely going to and I'm going to make it slightly bigger. I'm going to 3-bet there. I think that's pretty standard. I get called immediately, so that looks like 10s through Ace King to me. Definitely a pocket pair there. Or he could have better, but with no worse. His range could be wider, but I think with no reads, I'm going to weight it towards and it's some sort of overpair like 10s or jacks, maybe something like King Queen suited. But it's definitely weighted towards pocket pairs. And the fact of the matter comes, he's under the gun. He called quick. I don't know much about him, and then he instantly bet when checked to. I just can't see myself making a move at this pot. I'm just going to give it to him. Well, White Lime's in a pot right now, and I hope to God he loses. normally I don't wish that he loses, but we are playing 5-10, and he did lose, but he didn't lose too much. We are playing 5-10, and I really do not want to get pied in the face, and I think there are going to be some attractive girls pieing us in the face. So I'd rather be the one pieing a meal with them than actually getting pied. I don't think I've ever been pied in the face. I'm just going to open this for the sake of openness and show, just to start letting people know that I'm out of line if they fold. And I hope he doesn't re-raise me. That would not be cool. There we go. People just think I'm sort of insane. I'm just going to repop this and open this. I show probably more than anyone else, and it tormented my housemates when I lived with them in Vegas this summer. Why are you showing? I show because people are going to interpret what I'm doing the wrong way. Ultimately, some people will interpret it as, "Wow, I'm a donkey. I'm just showing." Some people will interpreted as, wow, I'm raising Jack 2 of clubs. I should over adjust to him. And I just think I have just such a leg up on a lot of players in regards to putting myself in their shoes and figuring out how they're going to react to my moves. So while I may be giving up some information by showing, I think the added weight of sort of enticing them to do something that they might not normally do is worth it. Just because even the best players, they don't actively register me showing cards, but subconsciously they know that I raised Jack two clubs there, and subconsciously their mind's going to adjust for that. Especially because I think a lot of people think I do get way too out of line, and when I'm showing like that, I'm either showing because yes, I'm planning on getting even more out of line right away and running you over, or no, I'm going to tighten up and let you get out of line, and I'm just going to stack the hell out of you. So it's that sort of mentality that makes a successful player, regardless of what you do, even if it's slightly minus, produces slight negative expectation. It's going to pay off if you're able to actively figure that out. I'm definitely 4-betting this guy simply because he instantly 3-bet, and he called the re-raise before, and it's blind versus blind. Even though I don't know much about him, this is just a 4-bet at this point. Hooray. I can't do anything but call once I 4-bet here, and I got money in bad. That is not fun. All right, no jack, no king. All right. That's going to make me look bad on tape, but hopefully it's going to help me win that bet. Anyway, I'm going to make a standard C-bet here. Sometimes I'll check that flop, try and induce a bluff, but there's nothing wrong with... you have to bet sometimes for metagame. So I'm going to put a green note on him because I don't know that he's a fish yet, but... sometimes that stuff's going to make you look bad. Re-raise, ace-king off, big line versus small line. I got to raise this on the button. We're going to say insta re-raised, and insta shoved over my 4-bet. So what does that tell me about this guy? Well, it obviously tells me that he's probably not a fish, and he's probably some sort of tag regular because he's familiar with obviously 3-betting ace-king and doesn't even hesitate in shoving it in over a 4-bet. And what that tells me is that this guy is definitely familiar with the online game because, for the past, I don't know, maybe 6 to 8 months, maybe even longer, this whole year, 2007, people, ace-king is like the absolute nuts pre-flop. So for anyone to just instantly see it and instantly go all in, they have to have a significant amount of online experience. If this is, some fish who doesn't play too often, or just is randomly sort of playing a bit to kill time, or just for fun, they're gonna think a little bit before they re-raise the first time. They're gonna think a little bit before they make a bet a little bigger here, just so I don't get floated too often. They're definitely gonna think about 5-betting over the 4-bet. So when I call that 5-bet, I just hope that A, he's either just some sort of crazy tilt monkey. I'm definitely betting here. He's just some sort of crazy tilt monkey. Ace is a good card, and while he might call me again with another card, and he could have an ace himself, he could have something like overcards and call the flop, or he could have ace 6 suited, ace 3 suited, things like that. I think I have to double barrel, especially because we're only playing 200 hands. And I'm going to try to put him at a decision here more often than I'm not. More often than I'm just going to give him this pot because it means more for me to win this pot than it does to check and fold. Nice. So anyway, what I was saying was, I have to hope that guy either is some crazy aggro animal, 5-betting all in with ace-jack or something like that, which I've seen before in the most unlikely of spots, or I have to hope he has like jacks, in which case I'm coin flipping, or tens or something like that, which is definitely plausible. Once I 4-bet pot, there's no way I can fold in that sort of situation. There are other situations where you can 4-bet and turn ace-queen into a bluff and fold to a 5-bet, but it's mainly when you have deeper stacks, for one. And I'm not the one to be able to do the math for you because I'm going to be honest, I'm not that fundamentally sound. That's my biggest leak, math. And so I'm excited to watch Wilton Tilt's Mathematics of No Limit Hold'em series to brush that up. But I do have a very instinctual feel because back when I started playing poker, I knew the math frontwards and backwards, and I know that I've seen other people do poker step calculations and such, but I know that for the most part, if you 4-bet ace queen, you can fold it against certain players, and you can certainly fold it when you're deep. So those are things to think about. There's nothing wrong with turning ace queen into a bluff and folding it. I think Flawless Victory taught me that this summer. And I said, I think the response was, I said, Brian, are you sure? Are you sure you could do that? I don't know. He's like, believe me, I've thought about everything in poker. So he's a hilarious person, by the way. If you can learn anything from him, that is somebody that you want to be able to talk poker with, or learn something from, or read his strategy posts, or play with him online, even if he destroys you. It's worth the experience. So I hope this table doesn't break, otherwise I'm going to have to find a new one. And maybe I should sort of look for some, just in case. Okay, there's some open tables, just in case. So that's not a big deal. Looks like Namco is definitely a regular online player. He's on a ton of tables, so I'll keep that in mind. Keep in mind I got lucky, and now I can sort of stay out of his way. Although, as I say this, I'm going to 4-bet again, small, because he doesn't expect me. Last time I 4-bet, I mean, he may shove over this just because he's tilted, but last time I 4-bet and called it off with ace queen. Wow, and he calls. I'm just going to check fold this. I think a 4-bet's good there just because he doesn't expect me to 4-bet bluff, and a check fold is definitely good there. The only thing I beat is king queen, which would inevitably shove the flop, but his range is just going to be so weighted to hands that are just slow playing me, or hands that are or pocket pairs that are gonna call my shove. That it's just, you know what, I 4-bet, it didn't work, I'll give up, and I'll keep in mind that it didn't work, and I'm just less likely to do it again in the future against him. Here you can 3-bet or call sixes. I like calling just because I don't really feel like turning them into a bluff. I may get 4-bet, in which case I have no idea what to do. It's gonna be a tough spot. I'll have to think through that. But let's see what happens here. See, here's a spot also that's much easier to play in today's games than it used to be. I'm gonna call once because it's sort of a c-bet here polarizes his range. The way it used to be was that people would c-bet 9s and 8s and 7s and then check it down. So it'd be a lot harder to play. But here, he's not going to c-bet 9s. He's either going to c-bet a 10 or a king or air, so in which case I'm good. In this case, 120, it's either a bluff or an ace at this point. It's never a king, it's never a 10, it's never 9, it's never 8, it's never anything like that. I think you check back 9s, 8s, 7s on the flop. He's not betting a 10 for value. Well, he might, but he'd have to be really good, and I'm not going to give this guy credit yet for that. He doesn't have a flush. He'd bet the turn. So I'm just going to look him up either as an ace or nothing. And there we go. Nothing. And also, a reason I didn't even think about, which makes that even more of a call, is that most players check back the flop there with an ace. Or not always, but there are going to be times he bets an ace, and there are going to be times he checks it back, and he's going to check back far more often than he bets, I think. Even though I don't know much about him, I'm just assuming based on the way today's games are looking. So that just makes it even more of a call. I'm gonna pop him here, 2015, ace 10. I don't want to call because I don't want to get squeezed by anyone else. I'm gonna fold this under the gun. I'm gonna tighten up now that I'm up a little. And I mean, I really don't want to call this. If I was on the button and the blinds weren't likely to squeeze, I might call now and then, just to sort of use the button as a force to kind of push on him. It's less about the value of my hand and more about the value of the button itself. So, but the fact that there are people behind me to act, re-raising is clearly the correct play. All right, king queen. We're gonna make a half pot bet here and see how he reacts. He just instantly folds. So that tells me this guy's just playing fit or fold poker. Sure, let's raise that. Full stacks at the table. It's not bad. I'm well ahead of white lime as we hit the halfway mark. Jedi poker tricks. I'm not going to 4-bet him. See, now, that used to be one of my favorite spots in like January and the year before when 3-betting started getting popular, to 3-bet somebody light, because you raise under the gun and then they 3-bet you. That looks so damn strong. But now I think it's given less credence because there's so many instructional videos about how to play out there. So much more poker discussion goes on. I think a lot of people have figured out that it looks strong and that they'll be able to do it, or that it's not as strong as it used to be. Here's a spot where I'm going to call. I'm going to fold this, just not get myself into any bad situations. Here's a spot I'm going to raise 180. I don't think he'll necessarily rebluff me, and he's probably not going to 3-bet me unless he thinks he'll induce a 4-bet bluff. And I do have, backdoor flush draw and straight draw. So here's a spot where it's like what level? He's thinking, what level am I on? He knows I'm clearly capable of raising any king, so I think he's less likely to just bluff 3-bet me. And I don't think too many people bluff 3-bet anymore. The maniacal Swedish players do, which is fun. You just don't mess with them because they're just completely insane with their floppy hair. And, who's that guy at the World Series on TV a couple of years ago? It was just like, always screaming. Anyway, I forgot his name. But it's like, what level is he on? Are we on? And he knows I'm capable of raising a big hand. He's going to put him in a tough spot. He may c-bet and call an underpair, in which case I improve enough at the time, or I can bet him off it on the turn to make it a good play. And he may simply be c-betting a large part of the time, in which case I can take it away with a raise, even more so than a float. If I float, it's easier for him to play, especially if he has some sort of pair in which he can check call the turn, or he can try check raise bluff me, or just double barrel me. And in that case, a bluff becomes even more expensive. Although it may give my hand more strength by calling and raising over his bet on the turn. It also becomes more expensive because I don't know his double barrel bluff frequency, so I have no idea to tell whether or not he might just bet the turn with big hands. In which case, when I raise, I'm just throwing away money. I'm just spewing money at his big hand, at his monster. I think white lime just stacks somebody, which is not good for me. I'm gonna look at this hand. Oh yeah, he had kings, and somehow against Jedi poker tricks. Oh, he didn't win that much money. There's a re-raise pot though. Okay, his $2,000 stack scared me. Can I stress again? I do not want to get pied in the face. Although I also don't want to waste my luck too much on this challenge because throughout this series we're going to be getting progressively crazier, and I instantly got re-raise. This is going to be a big hand. I'm not going to defend this unless we're a little deeper. We're going to be getting progressively crazier, so I say now that I don't want to get pied in the face, but what I really don't want to do is do something like ride the subway naked, or whatever we decide is going to be the challenge for later on. Looks like Emil is getting into a 4-betting war with Namco on another table. I'm actually going to pull it up here so you guys can see. So he isolated Flexicom. Namco made it to 45. Namco made it 160, and now Emil made it 300. And Namco calls again, which is so weird. And I know from talking poker with Emil, is definitely going to confuse the hell out of him. All I can hope is that Emil is ace king and Namco has 9-9. But I'm, I'm very curious as to what's going on here. Well, Emil's either bluffing or has an ace in this spot. They're chopping, so he does call. He calls. It's fine by me as long as he didn't win. So that tells me that Namco calls 4-bets, which should be good. Should be good for me. I should be able to make money off that, especially if he's 3-betting a lot. I'm just gonna 4-bet him relentlessly and then bluff him post flop. If he, I don't know how he plays ace queen there when he misses, but if he plays it anywhere near as, I guess, aggressive, if he plays it to match the board, he's just gonna get run over because he's not gonna hit a flop as often as he needs to make that a good play. So I'm going to call here and hopefully get squeezed by somebody behind. It's a play I like to do now and then. Standard is obviously re-raising, and it might even be slightly better, especially since I'd re-raised him before. But I think I can get, there we go. Perfect. Now the question becomes how to do this. I can 4-bet to a normal number or just shove, and the question is which is going to get called more often. I think if I shove, I'll get called by a hand like, I could potentially get called by a hand like ace queen thinking he's flipping, so we're just going to shove there. I think with 4-bet he's going to give me credit. If I 4-bet small, he's going to give me credit for getting tricky with something. Here we're deep enough where I can call just for 8 outs. I don't think he's bluff check raising this board, but I really can't fold when we're this deep. I know he checks to me. I'm just going to take the free card. Again, I really don't. Oh, there we go. Jack hand clumsy. Put me on an overpair. It worked. Oh my God. Yes. I have to sweat that. Well, there we go. That worked out perfectly, and I hope you guys learned something from that. Because again, this is definitely about learning. What the hell did this guy check raise me with and check 2 streets? Well, he was either completely bluffing. Let's try to put him on a hang. I'm not going to bluff this, but let's see how good my hand reading is. Well, I mean, if I trust my first read that I don't think he was bluffing this flop, then he's got a full house here, or ace jack or jack 9, something that he's getting fancy with and wants to check raise the river. The only other hand I could see is something like jack 10 that check raise semi bluffed. If he shows up with pocket 5s here, I'm just going to make the donkey note on him. 2 pair. I didn't expect to see that, but it just shows me that this guy is, he's sort of he's not as aggressive as he should be. I would be way more aggressive with queen 10 there. I might bet the turn and check the river if I was afraid that there was no value or that I was slow playing, but I would never check both streets. Oh, actually, now I know why he checked the river, because his 2 pair were basically counterfeited if I had a king. Okay, so he didn't necessarily play that horribly, but I just didn't expect to see that. I wasn't really thinking about a hand like that. Back to that ace-king of spades, sort of slow play back raise against, here's a spot I'm just going to bet rather than check. I don't know if I'll induce a bluff by checking, which would be the main reason to. And for metagame purposes, I'm just going to bet. Here's check and call. If he was floating, I'll be able to pick off a turn bet. There's not too much value in betting. And again, there's not much value in betting the river, and I'll probably just fold to a bet, even though my hands could be best. Wow, I mean, that is really just weak. He doesn't raise the flop. He doesn't bet the turn. He doesn't even bet the river. That is just really, really weak. Damn it. Emil stacked somebody too. So it looks like we're kind of neck and neck. It's just not the way I want this to be. Back to, again, that ace-king back raise, though. It worked out well, because if I go back to what I said when I first got here, people are going to think that I'm full of it, that I have nothing, and I'm just getting completely out of line all over the place, and they're going to think that their hand does way better than it does against my actual range. So they're gonna, I'm just gonna take advantage of that hopefully and continue to avoid suckouts and ride my way to victory. We're at 132 hands and I'm up about $2,400 and I have a meal up $1,500. But gonna have to force import and see if it got that stack. In which case we're definitely. Looks like it did get that stack, so he must have lost on another table. Hopefully I can maintain this momentum and carry me through the end of this session. Jedi Poker Tricks calls on the button. I think his range here is pocket pairs, suited connectors, big hands. I'm just going to bet here is my standard. I don't know that I can necessarily get tricky against him by checking. So he calls. 7-8 suited is definitely a possibility. I'm going to check here and see what he does. My normal standard is to bet, but I think he thinks that I would bet almost any hand here. So I'm probably going to check raise whatever he bets, and hopefully he'll bet a pair. And I'm going to check raise all in. Hopefully he does not have 8s or 7-8. And, in this spot, I hope okay, so he was floating or he didn't want to make a big call. He wanted to bet to protect his hand. He didn't want to make a big call with like middle pair or something like that. But the good thing about that is he would expect me to generally always bet the turn with a hand like ace queen, or a hand that like an overpair, and never check because his standard is probably going to be a check back there. But I think with our history, a check is good, and also what's my most likely hand when I check raise all in is going to be a draw. Just in most players' eyes. So it's good to make sure to check in with yourself now and then if you're playing hands like that. To just check in now and then that you're balancing your range, that you're actually doing that with big hands now and then rather than just draws. In which case, you don't want to do it with just draws because if you're playing a lot with the same people, they're going to notice that. They're going to take notes on you and they're going to just be easily able to pick you off. In spots like that. So here he most definitely has like some sort of pocket pair or suited connector. So I'm just going to bet once and see how he reacts. And he just folds. I have no way of knowing sort of how he's going to react to a c-bet. So I think I have to c-bet there in general. And you have to make your opponents sort of know that you're bringing the hammer, I guess, as cheesy as that sounds, that you're ready to that if they call your re-raise out of position, they have to be willing to play you for a stack. And if you're not willing to do that, then I wouldn't be re-raising so light. Or I would just be thinking, I'd be thinking more about my general game plan. And, if you're going to re-raise a lot light, you have to be able to play a good, solid post-flop game. I think the fact that people have figured out that, re-raising light is a profitable strategy, a lot of people do not necessarily realize that it is a profitable strategy because you have to make your opponents fold post-flop. And I think a lot of the skill has generally been taken out of games. Not necessarily the skill, but the edges have been sort of, I guess, lessened. They've gotten a lot closer in these games between players because a lot of the money is going in pre-flop now, and there's way less play post-flop. You rarely ever get to. I bet you could be a winner in these games. Well, maybe not 5-10, but in mid-stakes games, I bet you could be a winner without even knowing how to play the river. As crazy as that sounds, I think you could with a general pre-flop, a good pre-flop strategy, and aces. I'm just gonna right now forget that. Forget what I was talking about because I have aces and I have power aces. Those are aces that are, of a different color. I'm gonna re-raise them because they're the best hand in this game and I love them so much. I hope to God he has some sort of hand so I can just get it all in pre-flop and damn it, That would have definitely cemented this session and guaranteed some. I would pick. I'm gonna pick out if I win this. I'm gonna pick out the best pie to pie somebody in the face with, like probably the most nastiest like thing in the world. The meal's a vegetarian, so I might just like get a baller steak from like Dylan Prime or like Tribeca Grill or somewhere really good, and just put it on top of the pie, or maybe cut it, or maybe even blend it into just like a meat pie, and just like you know tell him to hold his nose and make sure nothing gets in his mouth, uh, and just pie him in the face with all that awesome meat. That would be fun. So I instantly get 3-bet by any time, 2-3, 2-3. I'm just gonna fold. He hasn't been really doing much. Um, I don't think I have stats up on him yet. Looks like he's actually I do. I could have 4-bet there. Poker Tracker, if he's not showing up in Poker Race, but Poker Tracker has him at 27-24 over 155 hands with a flop aggression factor of infinity, which is always hilarious to see. I remember the first time I saw an aggression factor and then the infinity symbol in Poker Tracker. I just laughed for hours. I'm easily entertained. Um, I wish you could just sort of make your poker screen name infinity, the infinity symbol. In which case, that'll be pretty legit. I think people would be afraid of you. Short stack calls me, and this is not a good flop to bet, especially with the double gut shot. I'll bet the turn. It's not. It's not. I have straight. His most likely hand is like 2 pair there, or a pair. I didn't even realize I had a straight. I said double gut shot on the turn. I didn't even register what the other end of the gut shot was. So anyway, what I was saying, I don't even remember what I was saying, so we're just going to ignore that because likely isn't that important. I think I was talking about the effectiveness of an infinity symbol as a screen name and how it would strike fear into the hearts of your opponents, because they'd all be wondering, how do you get the infinity symbol? How did he do that? Where did he come from? Is he Patrick Antonius on a secret screen name? How is he so cool? That's what I'd be wondering. You never know when Patrick Antonius is in the mist. Is MOUC Patrick Antonius? He could be. Something that you all should be thinking about more often. Simply because Patrick is he's a very deceptive player. All right, I'm getting out of line here. A little spewy with my commentary. Apologize for that. Back to valuable poker talk. What do you know? Power races again. Raise, what are you doing? Full tilt? Okay, there we go. Hopefully I stack anytime and cement my win. Okay, cool. I'm just going to shove here and take the 400 rather than risk getting sucked out by him and caught in the middle. If this guy folds, it just doesn't make any sense. Why you would squeeze with a $400 stack. There we go. No jack. Awesome. That's just awesome. That's just awesome, guys. Well, luckily it was only $400. 6, sorry. So I type. No worries, dog. I'm pretty raid. Buy your lady something special. Time to check. 30 hands away. 30 hands away. 30 hands away. Let's do this. Oh, it looks like Emil is taking a hit. The only thing I can do is now I can just make sure I don't get too spewy. And I'm coasting. And I'm pieing in the face. Oh, baby. I get excited here, but the problem is like it's yeah, it's just like insanely hard for him to have a hand there. Um, no matter how aggressive your image is. He likes the attitude. I like my attitude too. Yeah, there have been various MVG 2+2 threads, uh, probably implying that I'm some sort of douchebag. I'm gonna make a note here that I am not a douchebag, and that um, all of my this guy's going to Vegas in 2 weeks. This is warm. All of my table chat is lighthearted with sort of a whimsical banter about it. Um, it's just very lighthearted and free spirited, and I'm absolutely defending against this maniac. Even though I said I wouldn't get spewy, this is probably going to be a leak. There we go. Hopefully it doesn't have ace queen and I don't get stacked. Um, Here's a spot where I'm going to shove if he bets, just because it's I'd shove a draw, and he may call with worse. I'll have to rebuy immediately. But this guy's sort of a I'll just type diamonds and try to chat on him. This guy's really aggressive, so I think I can get called by worse. Just kidding, I don't have diamonds. I love chatting. Oops, I got on another table by accident there. See, this guy's just going to be so confused, and in reality, he's definitely going to call with whatever he bet. Wow, I'm surprised he did. Just because we're, I say that because we go back to that overarching principle that people love to call. Um, in reality, I think he was just trying to figure out ways he could talk himself into hero call, but kind of ended up not being able to. Um, oh yeah, getting back to my table chat against guys like David Benjamin. It's all meant in jest, obviously, and a lot of people don't get that unless they know me. So I am not a douchebag. Remember that. Take that with you. If you get anything from this, take with you that Prinny Raid is not a douchebag, and he cares about guys like 4ban144. $15 more hands. If Emil stacks Clock Tower, he's in a pot with Clock Tower right now. He could get close to me. We're gonna pull up his table. We'll put it here. I think he. Which one was it? I think he called a re-raise pre-flop. No, he must. Yeah, he must have called Clock Tower's re-raise pre-flop. He bets his turn. I don't know what he has. Hopefully he doesn't have a set. Hopefully Clock Tower has Ace King and Emil has Ace Queen. Although I don't think Emil would be calling a 3-bet with Ace Queen out of position unless he's watching my tables and getting desperate. He took it down. Okay, that's better than winning a stack. 190 hands. Okay, I have him at 165 hands. He's up about 1,000. So I'm missing 35 hands. Well, he's not done yet. All right, so we're just gonna try and play these hands out, and hopefully I end up victorious, and you guys get to see White Lime smash in the face with some pies. What a ridiculous idea for a series, but I love it. I think you guys are gonna get a lot out of it. Next week's episode is gonna be part 1 of a 3-part challenge, actually, which should be very interesting for the intrepid poker player. I'm just gonna check. Once I bet the flop, and once I check the flop and the 9 comes on the turn, there's really no value in betting. I'm gonna call once because this guy could just be betting with anything or spades, and this will definitely shut him down if he has a 9. Yeah, so that's fine. I think that's pretty standard once I check the flop. Sometimes I'll bet that flop just for balancing sake. Six more hands. Blind out. I'm just going to bet this once on the off chance he has some sort of pocket pair. Below 7s, he'll fold. Yeah, there we go. He might also fold some sort of suited connector. I'm not really sure how loose he defends his blinds. 4 more hands. So let's see. There's 1, 2, 3. Weird. These guys are just both fishy, I guess. Three more hands. Play one under the gun here just for the hell of it. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Emil stacks somebody. This could be bad. If I lose this pot, Emil just stacks somebody on the other table. I may have missed some. Oh, this is going to be very, very close coming down to the wire. I hear him definitely betting the flop and hoping he doesn't have a 9. I'm going to bet 175 again. Let's hope I win this, boys. He doesn't have kings or aces. Ten's a bad card for me. So here's an interesting consideration, considering I'm nearing the end of the session. If I get stacked by pocket 10s here, I may end up getting pied in the face. So I'm just gonna check actually. Now I think I'm definitely not good. Yeah, I'm definitely no good here. He has 10s or jacks almost always. He's never betting 7s or 8s like this. So I think I may have sold myself money, especially if he had 10s. I check there sometimes, but I think the majority of the time I'm going to bet for value just against pocket pairs and given my image. I think people stack off with any pocket pair against me all day, even though the 10's sort of a bad card because 10-10 is certainly in his range. But again, I think I'm not necessarily going to bet there because of the fact that I just hit 200 hands. It looks like Emil finished 2. Holy shit, this is going to be insanely close. I'm at 2470, and I have him with 175 hands at 1990. So I am really curious as to see what happened, and you guys can check the results video to find out for yourselves. But I hope you enjoyed episode 1 of LimeSlicer. This is Krantz with DeucesCrack.com, and I'll see you guys next week for episode 2.